In the heart of the American Midwest sits Skidmore, Missouri, a tiny rural farming town that once had fewer than 500 residents. On the surface, it was the kind of place where everybody knew everybody, where the rhythm of life was defined by corn harvests, cattle auctions, and Sunday services. But beneath its quiet exterior, the town harbored a darkness, an open secret that would eventually shock the nation. In 1981, the people of Skidmore did the unthinkable. They banded together to put an end to years of torment at the hands of one man, Ken Rex McElroy, a bully so terrifying that the law could not touch him. Ken Rex McElroy was born in 1934, the 15th of 16 children in a family of poor sharecroppers. Life on the family farm was harsh, and poverty shaped his early years. When Ken was a boy, he fell off a hay wagon and suffered a severe head injury, fracturing his skull so badly that doctors had to implant a steel plate. Some would later speculate that this traumatic brain injury contributed to his violent and unpredictable behavior. But whatever the cause, McElroy was trouble from the start. By the time he reached adolescence, he was already a delinquent. Petty theft gave way to livestock rustling, and soon, to violent assaults. As he grew older, his physical presence only added to his menace. Standing over 6 feet tall, weighing close to 270 pounds, and with piercing steel blue eyes under heavy brows, McElroy was an intimidating sight. His reputation became larger than life, and he cultivated that fear carefully. Over the years, McElroy racked up an astonishing criminal record. He was accused of burglary, theft, rape, assault, and even attempted murder. His lawyer, Richard McFadden, once admitted that he defended McElroy from 3 or 4 felonies every year. But here's the thing. Despite the charges, McElroy was rarely convicted. Witnesses refused to testify against him, terrified of what he might do if they dared. Jurors who were summoned for trials often received not-so-subtle threats like rattlesnakes left in their mailboxes or gunshots fired near their homes in the dead of night. Again and again, McElroy slipped through the cracks. Charges were dropped. Trials ended in mistrials. The law failed Skidmore at every turn. Beyond theft and violence, McElroy was notorious for something even darker: his predatory behavior toward girls. He fathered at least 15 children with different women, many of whom were barely of age when he pursued them. In 1971, when McElroy was 37 years old, he met Trina, a local girl who was more or less a child. 2 years later, she was pregnant with his child. Trina tried to escape with her newborn, seeking refuge with her parents. But McElroy tracked her down, shot her family's dog, burned their house to the ground, and forced Trina back into his home. When social services attempted to intervene, McElroy found a way around it. He married Trina, coercing her parents into giving permission under threats of more violence. With Trina legally his wife, she could not testify against him in court. Just like that, statutory rape charges vanished. It was the perfect snapshot of who Ken McElroy was: violent, manipulative, and untouchable. By the late 1970s, McElroy had established himself as the town's reigning bully. He parked his pickup truck outside people's homes for hours, watching them, intimidating them. He'd sit in bars and openly brag about crimes he had committed. Sometimes he carried a rifle with a bayonet attached, daring anyone to confront him. And yet, no one did. The people of Skidmore were frozen in fear. For years they tolerated his presence, hoping the law would finally lock him away. But time and again, McElroy proved immune to justice. The beginning of the end came in April 1980. McElroy's wife Trina accused the elderly owners of a local grocery store, Bo and Lois Bowenkamp, of allowing their 4-year-old daughter to be accused of stealing a piece of penny candy. Outraged, Trina confronted the Bowenkamps with a foul-mouthed tirade, while Ken vowed vengeance. What followed was a campaign of harassment. McElroy parked outside the Bowenkamps' home, fired guns into the air, and made their lives a living nightmare. Then, one July night, he drove to their store, aimed his shotgun, and shot 70-year-old Bo Bowenkamp in the neck. Miraculously, Bo survived, but the attempted murder was the spark that lit the fire. McElroy was arrested and charged with assault. For the first time, he was actually convicted of a felony. But before the town could breathe a sigh of relief, he was released on bail, free to roam Skidmore while awaiting appeal. And roam he did. Witnesses saw him openly brandishing firearms, a clear violation of his bond. He drank heavily in local bars and told anyone who would listen that he planned to kill the Bowenkamps, along with anyone else who dared to stand against him. The people of Skidmore realized that the justice system had failed them once again. If they waited for the courts to act, more innocent lives would be lost. Quietly, they began to discuss taking matters into their own hands. On that hot summer morning, townsfolk gathered at the American Legion Hall to discuss what could be done about McElroy. As the meeting dragged on, word spread that McElroy and Trina were in town, sitting in his pickup truck parked outside a bar. A group of men approached the truck, telling McElroy to leave town. A larger crowd followed, surrounding the vehicle. Trina was pulled out of the passenger side and ushered to safety. And then, without warning, shots rang out. Multiple rifles fired at once. Bullets shattered the windows, ripped through the truck's body, and tore into McElroy. When the gunfire ceased, he slumped lifeless over the steering wheel, his foot still pressing the accelerator, causing the truck's engine to roar. Nobody called an ambulance. Nobody tried to revive him. The crowd dispersed in eerie silence. The nightmare of Rex McElroy was finally over. When law enforcement arrived, they found McElroy dead in his truck, his engine still revving. Shell casings from multiple weapons were scattered on the ground. There had been at least 40 witnesses to the shooting, but not one would talk. Both state and federal authorities launched investigations. Grand juries were convened. But when witnesses were called, silence filled the room. Nobody saw a thing, they said. Nobody heard a thing. Only Trina, McElroy's widow, pointed fingers. But her testimony wasn't strong enough to convict anyone. And so, despite the broad daylight killing, despite dozens of witnesses, the murder of Rex McElroy remains officially unsolved. Rex McElroy died as he had lived, by violence, and the town that ended his reign of terror, they got away with it. What do you think? Was Skidmore right to take matters into their own hands? Or was it a dangerous example of vigilante justice? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. And as always, stay curious and stay safe.